All right. Our next poet, Elizabeth C. Herron, and her book is divided into three sections: before, between, and hereafter. And it's a global-minded book. It mixes astrology and Indian myth. So Elizabeth is the laureate of Sonoma County, and in her book, Coyote creates the world in a place called Una La Peace in Sonoma County by waving a feather. War, climate change, it's all here, and it's handled in a dreamy, melting lyric as our disasters can be. There's a poem at the end with birds, and in all the disaster, the birds keep singing. They keep singing. Elizabeth C. Herron.
Is this mic on? Ah, it is. Okay. It's the right size. Thanks, Richard, for that gentle and very kind introduction. And thanks to Joyce and everyone who has worked to create this wonderful event. I thought since there is a broadside of one of the early poems in The Cities of Sleep, that I would begin with that poem. I see I'm getting a thumbs up from my husband, which means I'm handling the mic okay. So this is a swan bone. The bones of birds being hollow, for obvious reasons. It might be obvious also why the first flutes, found thousands of years after the pentatonic melodies they played in the lives of Homo sapien neanderthalensis and Homo sapien sapiens, perhaps while dancing, perhaps while there was chanting around them, perhaps while the dancers moved in circles, perhaps while someone else shook a rattle and someone struck a drum, and a boy in the circle of dancers looked up to a cloud of swans traversing the autumn, their hollow wing bones lifting and falling above a swirl of yellow leaves that smoked the sky with gold. It is, thank you. It is a beautiful broadside that Lisa Rappaport did, Literal Press, and I'm very happy that it was created for that particular poem. I think for my second poem, I will read from my book that was published just a couple of years before this one. This is Insistent Grace. Fires of October. Rachel Carson said, "A living cell like a flame burns fuel. All these little fires spark the energy of life." I can imagine how each breath takes in the light and swirls it through the billions of cells in my body. How each cell ignites with oxygen in the chemical joy of essential existence. How it rises in the wings of cinnamon teals lifting off the marsh to begin their migration. How deep in the icy waters of Arctic lakes the char glimmer with the combustion of spawning. But what is it I must do as the daylight narrows? Tell me, I whisper to the deepening dark, how to cradle that spark, to keep the fires of the mind steadily burning, to open their fan of flame the way the maple spreads its crimson leaves across October. What ancient ritual song am I meant to sing? Tell me how to be the open hearth, the hollow waiting to hold the mystery of this blaze, to be this radiance, even to be ashes. With what's going on in the world today, I couldn't completely ignore it. And I do have this piece, which is part of In the Cities of Sleep. The poems in this book all kind of circle around the ramifications of a warming world. And part of that is more and more unrest. While bombs fell, for weeks while bombs fell in Aleppo, and rockets exploded the dark, and birds flew blind from the trees, you dreamed of books, the entire library of human history afloat on the ocean. The birds thrown upward in the flare, balanced on the explosion's apex of air till their wings flew away from their bodies. As the pages floated away from their bindings, soaked in salt, words without context, here, Hannibal's army riding elephants over the Alps. There, Hildegard von Bingen's musical notations. 1,000 Americans died of drug overdose in those 2 weeks while the bombs dropped over Syria and the birds plummeted soundlessly with only an explosion of feathers. Their wings sailed on the turbulence, then fluttered down to rubble and dust. The hands fell from the needles like the wings of a bird. The pages sailed away, balanced on the current and salt of the tide before they sank. How cunning, you said when you woke, the way things come apart, the way they change from something to nothing. Switching books again. Light's descent. It was the downward movement of light that ignited the dust. That's from the Book of Angels. Light's descent. The last of Earth's face falls away before the moon of the long snows, as the last longings loose their hold when we near the brightness of light alone, absent its cloak of mud and blood, and the beautiful flesh, the leaves, the stones, the hidden brilliance of sun behind clouds above a winter horizon, tomatoes fallen to a smear of pulp and skin, summer's sweetness reduced to the redolence of unpicked berries caught in a collapsing bramble. The condensations of desire blur open, easing the light free, not to forget the muck of matter surrendered and inert dreaming its past life, but to burn in the buzzard, the maggot, the mold, each darkness giving way in turn to the memory of that first descent with its surprise of wings. I thought that I think the time is a bit. My husband's telling me I have more time. I don't want to take up too much because we have more ahead. Perfect. Okay, instead of one more poem, I'll do one more chant. So the kite bird has dark shoulders. It's white, but it has dark shoulders. And there was one that used to fly above the highway that I drove on the way to work every day. And I would see it up there soaring and hunting. So this is a chant for the kite bird on a rainy day. Kite bird, kite bird, I am white, with my wingtips black, with my wingtips black. Kite bird, I am white, with my wingtips black, with my wingtips black. You are walking under me, little sister, you are walking under me, little brother, walking, walking, with your boots on, walking, walking, with your boots on. I am flying over you, little sister. I am flying over you, little brother, flying, flying, with my wings wide, flying, flying, with my wings wide, flying, flying, with my wings wide, wings wide. Thank you very much.